So good afternoon. We can say good afternoon. How are you, Barton?
I'm fine, Jackie. You?
Good. So welcome again, and thank you to be with me in this open conversation about the National Association of Realtors 7. But before, let me tell about Barton Strock, real estate attorney, partner of Strock, Cohen and Zipper Law Group, and SafeKey Title and Closings. So Barton got his Juris Doctorate from Brooklyn Law School in 1977 and began practice in Florida in 1978 and moved to Florida in 1979. And in addition of all the work he does, it's also in real estate, commercial and residential. He also practiced litigation, foreclosure, defense, landlord-tenant law, title insurance claims, and is a certified Supreme Court member for the Florida Circuit Civil Mediation. You have a huge resume.
Yeah,
And
you make me sound very old with those dates.
no, at all. You are one of the best real estate attorneys I have the honor to work with. So, welcome again. And let's begin to talk about this NAR settlement that is have a lot of controversy and um, craziness for realtors, buyers, and sellers to the way that practice on real estate will be regulated after July, middle of July,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah, that is like, yeah, that's maybe the
Yeah,
best word, maybe.
that's the important word. Maybe. Um, there's a lot of unknowns here, but I bring 40 some odd years of experience to the table. And, you know, as some people say, change is the new opportunity. It presents new opportunities for people. First, you have to understand the change and where it's going, and sit back and think a while. So, over my 44, 45 years of practicing in Florida, I've seen lots of changes. No fault insurance, r- massive changes in the foreclosure field. You name it, it's changed. and
Yes.
and everything worked out and became an opportunity. Lawyers like to say, "Oh, great, another lawyer relief act." That we more work for us because they made changes. I don't think that's the story here, but let me give a little bit of background. So NAR, as you all know, National Association of Realtors, and a couple of Remax, Keller Williams, and another, I don't remember which one, entered into separate settlements um, on a case that had already been to trial. I don't understand antitrust law. I don't know, and I don't know anybody who does. I don't know if they're right or wrong, and that doesn't matter. The fact is, here's where we are today. We have a pending settlement. So the first thing to understand is that the settlement isn't final yet. It has not been approved by the judge in the case, which probably will not be till mid-July or sometime, as Jackie said. So nothing has changed. When you woke up today, everything was as it was yesterday. Okay.
Mhm.
So where is it going to go? Let's imagine that we all work in Baltimore, okay, where the bridge recently collapsed. I think a week ago, Monday or something, Sunday night.
Yeah.
Um, and everybody woke up to go to work and they got in their cars and they turned on their navigation systems. We know how to get to work, but a navigational system will tell you when there's traffic somewhere and give you an alternate route.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, there's no bridge there. You had to take an alternate route. And because it was the first day, it probably changed your route several times because traffic was building in different areas depending upon the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But where did you wind up? You wound up at your place of business, the same exact place that you were going to. You just went a different route. And that's how I read this settlement. Okay? Nothing is going to change. You're going to get to the same place. You just have to take a few detours. Okay? So let's, unless you want to break in with questions, Jackie, I'm just going to go through, a few of the things that I have. Okay?
Basically, what the settlement said and the basic changes or the main changes that it's in place right now without not knowing if it will be a decision in what they said July or on any other month.
And the judge may say, no, I don't accept this. So we don't know. One of the things I graduated law school, they handed me a diploma and said, now you have to turn in your crystal ball. I can't predict the future. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens on that. So, one of the major changes that is in this settlement, supposedly,
Mm-hmm.
is that any agent working with a buyer has to sign a buyer's written buyer representation agreement,
Yes.
which has some sort of compensation agreement in it. Okay, so first of all, I have been giving seminars and lectures to realtors for probably over 30 years. And in those 30 years, I have always told the broker, get a buyer's signed agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Just last week, I got a call from a realtor who introduced a party to a property that would have netted her a $49,000 commission. And at the last minute, another realtor submitted the offer. I said, where's your buyer's agreement? Oh, I don't have one. Okay. You don't have a buyer's agreement. You can't prove you're the procuring cause because you never made an offer.
Exactly.
And the offer they did make with this other realtor was better than what you had been talking to them about. So you spent all that time. I have other realtors who say to me, I got a call. I got up Sunday morning. I drove 2 hours, showed them the property, and then they put in an offer from someone else. Well, why didn't you send them a buyer's agreement first, even if it was just for that one single property? Or even while you're doing an open house. Yeah, sign this for this property. So I think that's a good change. We'll talk about the compensation in a few minutes, okay? That's a detour, the compensation. That's the navigation system. And we're going to learn how to get around that detour as time goes on.
Yes.
So hand in hand with that is you can no longer post on the MLS that you're going to give the buyer's agent 2.5% or 3% or whatever. Okay? You can't post it on the MLS. Does not say you can't offer it, but you can't post it on the MLS. So the MLS is required to eliminate all broker compensation fields. That can't be there. Okay? And MLS or NAR can't set up a separate system where you could list those.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So you could list on your own website, your own listing, or your brokerage can list, we have all these houses, we're giving 3% on these. You could do that. That's not through MLS. You can't do it with anybody else's listing, but you could do it with your own brokerage.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Now, you can list some sort of cooperative compensation or consideration or concession in a public comments field on the MLS. So What you can't put in the commission field, you can in some way put in the comment.
Okay.
Now, I'm sure we're going to learn buzzwords of what to do. So my initial thought is that seller is willing to make concessions to right buyer. Okay? Come in with a good price and I'm going to give you a concession, whatever that might be. Okay?
Yeah.
How much you're going to be allowed to say on that, we're going to get guidance from NAR, we're going to get guidance from our board of realtors, and we're going to get guidance from MLS, which is owned by our board of realtors. So, there's going to be guidance in there. Okay. But
So, to be clear, the MLS will not be showing any compensation to the buyer's agent, but the broker website and the agent broker website
comment,
can show if
yes.
the seller is willing to pay any type of compensation to the buyer's agent to their own listing. They cannot, obviously, will not be a parallel or MLS. It's just for the brokerage listings. That can be
Correct. This is an MLS settlement.
mhm.
This is not a settlement. This is not something that stops your brokerage from doing that.
Mhm.
Okay. Your brokerage could put on their website 3% to all realtors who selling buyers agents who show any of our homes on MLS. They could say that. So the difference in these agreements, now our agreements are going to change. The buyer's agreement and the listing agreement are going to change.
Yes.
So first of all, it's going to say, all of them are going to have to say that commissions are negotiable. Okay. It always has been. We have a lot of $500 people out there who are willing to list your home on MLS, and you get what you pay for. And that's not going to change. Okay?
Yeah, always was like that.
So on the buyer's agreement,
Mhm.
it could very well say, okay, this is my fee, but you instruct me not to show any properties that do not pay a compensation of my fee. So the buyer may be out nothing. The only thing they may do is limit the number of properties that the buyer may be able to see. And we'll see how that will work out also.
Yeah.
Now, for a listing agent to give compensation, consideration, whatever you want to call it under the new rules, they have to get approval from the seller in writing. That's no different than the existing exclusive right of sale listing agreement.
They said it's very
You just can't put in there that I can't list it on MLS without this. Okay, that's out. And that's also going to have to say that that there's no law and it's negotiable and fees are not set by NAR or MLS or anything. There's going to be a complete disclosure about fees. That has yet to be written. Okay. So Florida Realtors will be giving us new forms for those. I guarantee you there's not going to be much change in the form, just a few places to comply with these settlement agreements. So how does that offer of compensation get made? It could be done before I show the house. I'm going to make a phone call and say how much you're giving. We can confirm it in an email. Or let me ask this, up until now, NAR rules of ethics does not allow compensation for the realtor to be included in the contract.
yes.
Where else are you going to memorialize that now? You want everything in one place. A closing agent wants everything in one place. A lender wants everything in one place. So we can have an email that becomes an addendum that we could argue about. Or are we going to be allowed to say in the contract, seller will pay buyer's agent 3%? Is that going to override the NAR ethics? I don't know, but I'm just saying these are things that we have to find out about. So everything I've told you now is really no different to where you're going to end up, just where you're going, just how you're going to get there. Is there going to be pushback from buyers and sellers? Yes. Okay, so the major pushback is from the seller. Seller's going to say, I don't want to pay the buyer's commission anymore because I don't have to. I read the newspaper.
Yes.
So I'm only giving you 2.5% or 3% to sell my house. And sometimes agents don't have the guts to fight back, to push back. I'm afraid I'm going to lose this client.
Mm-hmm.
So, if a client is wrong, I have an ethical obligation to tell my client you're wrong.
Yes.
I think you will lose that case with that strategy. So what's it going to be up to the listing agent to say? Look, if I put this on the MLS and say no commission for the buyer's agent, I'm probably going to eliminate 1/2 to 3/4 of the amount of people who are going to see this property, especially if it's a property below $500,000.
Exactly.
If it's a first-time home buyer or something like that. They're getting a 95% mortgage. They're getting a 90% mortgage. They can't afford to pay any commission out of pocket. They don't have it.
Yes.
So it's up to the listing agent to educate the seller that I don't care what the settlement said. You still need to do this to get traffic in here. So it would be the same thing as setting a price too high. Okay, I'm going to lower my price 3% to do that. Well, that's ridiculous, because if that buyer still has to come up with $15,000 on a $500,000 house to pay the buyer's agent, that's not included in the mortgage because it's not part of the sale of the house. It's not included in the appraisal. It's not part of the price. So the seller has to understand that they don't want to cut their nose off to spite their face.
Definitely.
So it's going to work out.
Definitely. But in one way, when we are where we are doing a listing presentation, we always, talk about the buyer's agent, the other agent who helped to close the deal, bring a qualified buyer. And at the time we get the listing, we get the compensation that the seller is willing to give. It is no rule that said 50-50. It is no rule that said 60-40. It is what the seller said, okay, this is the commission, and what part are given to the listing agent and what part is given to the buyer's agent or the no representation. It's on the actual listing agreement, and the seller signed. He knows what part is given to every agent, and also what is the importance for the seller. Sometimes the listing agent has a lot of relations and they have their own buyers that may or may not like the house or the property. But also it's a lot of qualified buyer's agents that work with super qualified buyers that they will be willing to put an offer right away. So that is the part I think that more anxiety, because that's the word that I feel it's around. It's happening. It's to get and sit down and be serious on the work that we do as a listing agents and buyer's agents.
So maybe some of the part-time listing agents and some of the part-time buyer's agents especially will weed out, as it always does. In a recession, half the title companies close. In a recession, mortgage rates go up. In a recession, all of a sudden there's no more 95% mortgages, no more 90% mortgages. You got to be 80%, and then everything old is new again. And what we're going to have here is the same thing. Okay. So, MLS rules are changed. So Keller Williams agreed that they're not going to they can't require their agents to join NAR. Okay, big deal. That doesn't change anything. NAR doesn't do any of you anything other than lobby for you, sometimes well, sometimes not, and give a big book to the board of procedures to follow for grievance, fee arbitrations, and ethics proceedings. Okay, that's all NAR really gives you anymore. So that's what Keller Williams agreed to. I already told you a listing agent has to get approval from the seller to offer, which you do now anyway. MLS cannot require agents to make or accept offers of cooperative compensation, which is what I said. You have to we will have to delete from the form, not you, but when the time comes, they will delete from the form exclusive right of sale listings that if you don't check this box, you can't put it on MLS. Okay. MLS can't publish cooperative type website that lists where there's compensation available, but it could be done, like I said, other ways: emails, phone calls, in the comments section, on your own website. It could be done, and as I also said, on the listing agreement, the buyer representation, and any pre-closing disclosure, it's going to have to say that broker commissions are not set by law and are fully negotiable. I mean, that's the only thing we really know what it's going to say. And NAR and Realtor boards and MLS has to include that disclosure on everything, which it never has been set by law. So, so what do we know? We know that this settlement does not affect large realty brokerages that earn $2 billion or more a year, unless they have entered into their own settlement. Doesn't affect any of us. The settlement's not final. As of today, broker cooperation, broker compensation is still permitted. Nothing's changed. In the future, the terms of the cooperation cannot be listed in the MLS except in the comment section. Can be listed any other place but in the compensation section of the MLS. Finally, buyer's agreement agents that's going to stop buyer's agents from being screwed like they have been for all these years. And by the way, buyer agent agreements are already required in 13 states. Yes. So it's about time it was accepted. Here in Florida, we should consider ourselves lucky because, number one, New York doesn't have an MLS. Okay. In New York, the agent isn't even allowed to write the contract. All they could, in certain parts, all they could write is a binder. And then it has to go to contract with an attorney. And we know how we could be, and it's not a form contract. You got to spit out this word processing 27-page contract that has all this legal mumbo jumbo in it. And lawyers get paid to do that. The lawyer is not the closing agent. It's a separate fee. I used to practice in New York. Florida, agents have it great. And this is just a little bump in the road, my opinion. And I think it's all going to work itself out. Like I said before, change brings opportunity. Who's it going to impact the most? First-time home buyers, buyers who marginally qualify. If the agents don't take the bull by the hand and explain to the sellers, especially, you must offer compensation, and the buyer's agent say, okay, you got to pay me $15,000 to show you houses that are worth $500,000 or more. Yes. Because they're not going to get any business.
Exactly. So I think I worked with buyer's agreement for many years, and the person who teach me this was a buyer from Connecticut. When I talked to him, he asking me for the buyer's representation because they usually sign that before to go out. And at that point, I didn't have the certification for accredited buyer representative, and I was like, I have to call the broker and say like, they're asking me for something that it calls buyer representation or so. And he was looking at me and he said like, here it is, it's on the Florida forms.
Yeah.
Never see it, and I maybe was like very like in the beginning of the my career. For that, I understand what that means, and it was normal for them. Like, let me know where I have to sign, and I go like, oh, okay. International buyers, they know that they have to get representation in order to put an offer more when they are not here. So I think Jerry Vega, I always use a buyer broker agreement, of course. So
Even if it's for one property.
even, yes, it is. And it gets a lot of sometimes people taking advance, and I will not say that in the bad word, but I want to see that property and I want to see it now. And as a realtor, maybe it maybe it's a good opportunity, and I'm going, and the person is just going to another agent to open the door. And that is part of what we have to have some clarity in our business, that we not just we represent the buyer. We know about what they want. We make all the effort that they get qualified to the property. And by the way, listen what the buyer its requirement. We are looking for the properties over the internet for hours looking for what they have in their mind, sometimes never see the person. And after they go to a property, they totally change their mind and say, oh no, that's what I'm thinking. Another 4, 5, 6 hours looking for what they want until they open the door and it's like, let's look for this house that it was not in the list, but I believe it is what you want. You open the door and they go like, oh my God. And it's a lot of little things and big things that the buyers agents does for the buyer. So inspections, they now they have to go by themselves to go to the inspection because the buyer are like they don't know if they can go or not. The settlement, they sit down with the other agent and said, this is what it's on the report. This is what the buyer needs. This is what the property is. It's a lot what the buyer's agents do. It really it's a lot. The listing agent is also do a lot. And so we have to respect ourselves like doctors and attorneys too. Yeah, exactly. So many agents they don't go out with our retainer because it's time and effort. And then they said, like, we can do it by ourselves. I have a list of people that they sign documents that they don't understand. Not even that they speak English. But they don't read 12 pages of more of a contract. They don't understand. So I think for one way or another, this is a good way for realtors to know their value and what they have to offer. And one of the things that we need to learn is how to negotiate open and honest and support our clients. That's what we do. Well, that's
So I believe that we're all going to be in the same place, just with little minor changes. And just the realtor's going to have to work a little more telling the selling, the listing, the seller and the buyer how it works. Once we all learn.
yeah.
Yeah, there'll be a little workout time. There'll be a little traffic jam, but the bridge will be built again. It'll just be a few feet to the left or a few feet to the right.
So I just want to ask you to be clear in this. I mentioned that I see some changes and some right now on the MLS, and we didn't change anything yet.
Well, so other brokerages have entered, some brokerages have entered into settlements on their own. So I don't know what their settlement, like Keller Williams has its own settlement agreement. So they may have already instructed their agencies, their separate brokerages, this is what you have to do.
Okay.
But, so if you see on the listing there's nothing there, then it's time to eat. Before you show the property, you call the agent or send them an email, will there be a 3% compensation to the buyer's agent? And if not, you're not going to show the property. And then the seller's going to wonder, why is there no traffic?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is always will be work in the best for each party.
It's just a matter of education and taking advantage of the change for your own opportunity. And the good thing is, Jackie, you run these every week or two or whatever. You get the word out there to the realtors. I do too. I mean, Monday, I think I'm giving a seminar live at a big brokerage in South Florida. Give this, I love doing this.
Yes.
Because this is the way I try to get business. This is the only way. We don't advertise. We don't do anything but just work with realtors to let them know what we do, how we could help them, just like this, in order to get them business. And that extends both to closings. And who do your clients come to that you sold an investment property to when the tenant doesn't pay? They ask you for a referral.
Yes.
We do evictions, we do landlord tenant, every aspect, partition, any real estate litigation, whatever. If it's real estate, we handle it. Everybody out there, if you have a question, you could reach me. My direct line is 954-634-1769. That's my direct phone number. It avoids the main number. And if I don't answer on 3 rings, that goes to Nina, my paralegal. Who'll just set up a time for you to talk to me. Or you could email me at bstrock@strocklaw.com. We'll answer your questions. I see realtors are calling left and right now. Some I haven't spoken to in 10 years. I see a name coming in.
And I know that you are one of the few people, attorneys or professionals in general, that take the time to read and replay every email.
Mm-hmm.
Like I send you like 4, and you ask no one that you don't say your answer just right away or in a few hours. So I appreciate that, and I thank you for being here. I know it's a little, we are a little off the time, and I know we will be Jerry Vega, realtor said Barton. Yeah,
yes. Says Jerry. Jerry's a friend. This is going to be on YouTube, right?
YouTube.
And how does someone find this on YouTube? Because someone just called me, they couldn't get in.
Okay, I will send you the link with the recording, and it's in Jackie Cavada Realtor in YouTube, and also it's in Jackie Cavada Realtor in LinkedIn, and my Facebook will be forever. So, and I will send you the link for you.
Send me the link so I could send it out. Okay?
I will send it out. But thank you so much again, and I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Bye-bye, Jackie.
Bye. Bye, Niall. Bye, Jerry.